Well, it's kind of ironic as the Mariners continue to struggle. They actually give me more to talk about, and yet the more they give me to talk about, the less I actually want to talk about them. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. Mariners dropped this one 3-1 tonight to the Angels. They fall to 53-48 on the season. Houston does lose to Oakland. The Mariners remain in a tie for first place in the AL West. Technically, Houston is percentage points above the Mariners at the moment. So just frustrating loss. Mariners have an opportunity to take the lead back in the AL West here. Couldn't do it. Before I go any further, do me a favor, smash the like button. It helps out the channel tremendously. Comment your thoughts on the game below. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new here or lurking. Just a handful of subs away from 3,800. And I'm trying to close in on 4,000 subs as well. More wins tends to help those numbers, but obviously the Mariners have no intentions of helping my channel, apparently. So how dare they? But yeah, if you guys can hit sub, it helps out tremendously. I really put the blame on three aspects of this game. Offense was atrocious. Not shocked, especially with Julio and then JP going out. Not that they've been great this year necessarily, but certainly still better than what you're kind of trotting out behind them. Offense was atrocious. Stanek and Thornton were atrocious. And I thought some of the bullpen management was atrocious all the way around. Three things to really kind of hang your hat on for the loss. And unfortunately, lost in the loss is 7 shutout innings for Bryce Miller. Fantastic outing. You got to stop this. You can't keep having this. This is 4 straight losses to the Angels who, listen, every team's got major league talent. Every team's trying. Cannot lose these games to the Angels. This is where you should be making up ground. This game was winnable. Yes, the offense was atrocious, but you were 6 outs away from getting the win. You've got to find a way to get it done. Logan Gilbert on Sunday against the Angels, 7 shutout innings. They lose. Bryce Miller tonight, 7 shutout innings against the Angels. They lose. That is absolutely unacceptable to have happen because you're not going to keep getting that. These starting pitchers are going to have a day where they struggle, or even not even struggle. Go 6 innings and give up 2 or 3 earned runs. For this pitching staff, 3 earned runs in 6 innings is a death sentence. You might as well give them 17 runs and just let a warm body go out there and pitch the rest of the game if you're going to give up 3. It can't happen. That's just crazy to me. Last 2 games against the Angels, your stars have thrown 7 shutout innings, and you've lost both. The game before that, Kirby, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. You lost it. That is 20 innings the last 3 games against the Angels, giving up from your starters, giving up 2 earned runs, and you don't win any of those games. I don't think that's possible. Obviously it is. It happened. But, if you were to tell somebody next 3 games your starting pitcher's going to pitch 20 innings, give up 2 earned runs total, what would you say? Truthfully, you'd probably say we should be 3-0. Maybe 2-1. Things happen. Maybe you lose a game 2-1. To be 0-3, it can't happen. You can't waste these starts from your starters. You cannot have it happen. This lineup was atrocious today. That is, and listen, I'm going to get on Scott because I thought Scott mismanaged the bullpen a little bit. Not going to get on too much for the lineup, right? Like, there's not much he can do. It's what's on the roster right now. That to me is more of a Jerry Justin issue if we're going to put blame on anybody for the lineup. They're the ones that put the roster together. Now, listen, they can't do anything about Julio being hurt. That stinks. JP gets hit on the hand. Nothing you can do about that. That stings. But even, before the JP injury, look at that lineup. Atrocious. The bottom 3 are that's straight out of 2010 Mariners lineup right there. That's just bad. And I'm not even like that mad. They only got 1 run. I didn't expect a ton more, to be honest. So I almost want to blame the bullpen and the bullpen management a little bit more in the offense. Because here's the thing. We know the offense isn't good. It's not. But you were 6 outs away from a win tonight. You've got to find a way to secure that. You have to do it. And then obviously the offense, no fight in the 8th or 9th inning at all. It's not like the guys you were missing have been that great either. Listen, you want Julio back in there. He's been hot and he's still one of your best 9. But man, it's just amazing. Even with Julio's struggles, how taking him out of the lineup makes it look so much worse. Mitch Haniger's in there with a 2 WRC plus against lefties this year, something along those lines. It's weird. I don't understand why he's actually been somewhat okay against righties and terrible against lefties. I don't get it. but we're 101 games into the season now. That is what it is. If we were 2 weeks into the year, I'd be like, whatever, it's small sample. It's not anymore. It's not. Can't do it. Can't trot him out there. But you have to when Julio's hurt. It's your outfield depth. There's not much else you can do. Honestly, you could have made a strong case that Ty France maybe should have been in that lineup today. I don't think it would have changed anything. But against a lefty, maybe you should have rolled him out there. We'll see what ends up happening with Ty. Obviously, I think they're not playing him so that he doesn't get hurt. So if he goes somewhere else, there's no injury or anything like that. So I'm not going to stand up here and make a rant that Ty France should be playing after I just went on a rant 2 weeks ago about him needing to be off the roster. But it's more morbidly funny. You could probably make a strong case he should have been in there. Probably should have gone Ty at first, Demo at third. I mean, Josh Rojas is atrocious against lefties. I mean, he's got no shot against left-handed pitching. Even one that doesn't throw hard, and Tyler Anderson had no problems with him today. It's rough. It's rough. Jason Vosler, you can correct me on pronouncing that, got the call. Ryan Bliss went back down, and I'm going to get into the bullpen stuff. Just want to go over this a little bit. I think that's fine. I thought they mismanaged. I don't think they mismanaged Bliss, but there was no point to have him up without getting regular at-bats. Bliss should be in Tacoma. He should be playing every day. Listen, I understand if it's September or you're in the playoffs and you want to bring Bliss up because of his speed and have him be kind of a pinch runner, fine. At that point, it's all hands on deck. I don't really care if he's getting regular at-bats. But right now, no reason not to. What did Bliss have? Like 3 at-bats in the last 2 weeks, and they're throwing him in there against Josh Hader. Like, come on. It's going to be tough. It's tough enough to hit Josh Hader when you're warm. But, coming in cold, it's going to be really difficult there. So I don't have a problem with going to Vosler over Tyler Locklear to start. Vosler's been swinging the bat really well in Tacoma this year. I have no problem giving him a chance. Well, we'll see what they end up doing at the trade deadline. If they're looking for a first baseman, if this is just a few days, then they bring Locklear up. Well, we'll see. In fact, they could just bring up Locklear when France ends up coming off the roster. I don't know. We'll see how they end up handling it, but I don't mind him getting a shot. I think I don't mind good performances being rewarded. Do I think Locklear is a better player than Vosler? Probably, certainly a better prospect, but good play should be rewarded. So I have no problem with them bringing him up and giving him a few at-bats, especially against right-handed pitching at first base or wherever else they want to play him. But that was the roster move today. Let's talk about the bullpen. In the 8th inning, 1-0 lead. Bryce Miller, 7 shut-ins. Like I said, fantastic outing. Ryan Stanek is the guy that Scott goes to. Now, listen, Trent Thornton wasn't great in the 9th either. So, I can sit there and go, should have gone to Thornton. Well, Thornton didn't get the job done as well. But Stanek has been very shaky his last few outings. And listen, I get you may not have a ton of options. I get that Santos was down. And if you're going to blame Scott for Santos being down, that's probably not a Scott thing. That's an organizational decision that they're making. That goes higher up. I do think you're going to have to get to a point where Santos has to pitch back-to-back days if you want to stay in this. But, that's something that's made by medical staff and everything. I really try to stay out of that stuff because I'm not going to tell people how to manage injuries. I've thrown hissy fits when I step on a Lego, so I'm not anybody to criticize professional athletes and their injuries. Stanek's been really shaky. A couple weeks ago against Minnesota, gives up the home run to Larnach. Struggled against Toronto, gives up the home run to Springer. Threw a 4-pitch walk in that Angels game on Sunday before having to leave with the back injury. Struggled a bit in San Diego, ended up getting a couple outs. Some hard hit outs, got through it, but they had to go to Munoz for a 4-out save 4-out save in that game. Struggled against Houston on Saturday. And then again tonight. At some point, you've just got to get a step back. I'm not saying Stanek should be off the roster. He's done a nice job for this team overall. In the early part of the season, he was a part of it, right? He helped keep this bullpen afloat without Santos and Matt Brash. I appreciate it. I absolutely do. Seems like a cool dude. Rooting for him. But I think you got to give him a bit of a step back and put him in some lower leverage spots. Or if you want to use him when you're up like 3-0, then fine. 3-run lead's actually a lot lower leverage than people tend to think it is. Fine. But in a 1-run game, can't do it. It's just he's struggling right now, and he doesn't look confident. And sure enough, a lot of it tonight was free passes. The Angels really didn't hit a lot hard in those last 2 innings. But you have the 4-pitch walk to, who was it? Let's go through this actually in the 8th inning. Sorry, guys. Pulling up the box score here. 4-pitch walk to Joe Adell. Can't do it. Got to throw him strikes. If he hits one out, he hits one out. But, can't have that happen. Anthony Rendon. Come on. And then Shanuel tried to get himself out with the bunt. It ended up getting 3-2 count. Stanek actually threw a perfect pitch to him for strike 3. Angels were not happy with the strike zone all night. There was a couple calls early. I don't blame him at all. Drury and who was the other one that was punched out? Willie Calhoun. I think we're both punched down some tough pitches early. The one to Shanuel was a strike. But I get with leftover frustration. That was a nice pitch by Stanek. Then Munoz comes in. Love Mooney. He did his job, but Munoz has no ability to keep runners from running or to keep runners. What's the word I'm looking for? Keep them back, hold them, to hold runners. God, why am I blanking on that? Has no ability to hold runners. Double steal, sac fly, 1-1. Ninth inning, Trent Thornton comes in. 2 extremely quick outs from Thornton in the ninth inning. Gets O'Hoppe to strike out, gets Moniak to ground out. Walks Brandon Drury. Has Zach Neto 0-2. And Thornton's done this too many times this year. 0-2 turns into a walk. Can't happen. Can't have that happen. And then a grooved fastball right down the middle to Joe Adell, who was sitting fastball dead red, right back up the middle. And then Lord only knows what they were doing in the outfield. Somehow 2-run score on that. I know they were trying to throw home to get the runner, and then it got away, and it happens. But, I mean, more defensive blunders from the team and everything like that. Can't happen. It's because I was going to make my rant, why isn't Scott going to Trent Thornton in the 8th? Thornton's been better than Stanek of late. Well, Thornton doesn't reward that either in the 9th inning. So, I don't know what the answer is. Honestly, what have I said the last couple days? Go to Munoz. Go to Munoz in the 8th. You're using him for 5-out saves anyways. Let him start the 8th. He probably gets through it 1-0. What do you do in the 9th? Figure it out when you get there. Honestly, let Munoz go 6 outs, right? Like, you're willing to use him for 5. I know he didn't actually go 5 outs tonight, but you're willing to use him in those spots. Go to him. Maybe add on runs. Then you can go to Thornton or Voth or Stanek in the 9th. Obviously, I didn't think this offense was going to add on runs, but I don't know what else to do. But, and like I said, Thornton's certainly not rewarding, Scott or anybody or any of us for wanting him over Stanek, and Voth hasn't been great either. I don't know the answer, but it didn't seem wise to go to Stanek there. If you guys have any other thoughts on it, let me know. It's all around, right? Like, you can't win games with 1 run. You can't walk guys, you can't keep giving guys free passes, not expect somebody to get a base hit at some point. It's blame all around, in my opinion. It goes to everybody. Scott deserves blame. Stanek deserves blame. He was awful, right? Like, the players deserve blame too. The offense was atrocious. Trent Thornton deserves blame. It's just really frustrating. And, it's not like you were down the whole way here. And the other thing about losing these 4 in a row to the Angels, you've had a lead in all 4 of these games. You've led them all. You're right here, right there, something away from maybe winning all 4 and having a 3-game lead in the division. Who knows? Right? So it's crazy to say they'd win all 4. It's also crazy that they've lost all 4. Just very frustrating all around. I think the one that gets me the most is what I said at the beginning of the video, because I didn't even realize it until I started recording. Logan and Bryce Miller last 2 games against the Angels, 7 shutout innings, and you've lost those games. Can't have it. I mean, it's happened. They can't have it because it did happen, but you can't have that. You can't do it. Scott's got to figure out the bullpen management. You got to get better at it, man. Like, I get it. It's not easy. I'm not trying to sit here because even I'm confused, right? I'm sitting there going, Thornton sucked in the 9th. Maybe I'm going to Munoz. Might say, well, I can sit here and go to Munoz in the 8th. Well, if, you blow in the 9th and you don't have Munoz behind you to save you. I'm not saying it's easy, but they've got to figure it out. Because here's the thing. We know the offense stinks, right? Like, they're not going to put up a lot of runs. They'll have games. They'll have some games, just like they did in the last road trip, just like they did yesterday, where they're going to score. It's going to happen. The blind squirrel finds a nut. So you're going to be in these situations. Should most of the blame go on the offense? Yeah, probably. But we know what the offense is. You were 6 outs away from winning it. You've got to figure out how to bring it home there. You got to figure it out. And that would have been a big win. You hold on and win that 1-0. Houston loses. That's a pretty big swing there the last 2 days You've just gained 2 games on Houston the last 2 days if you find a way to get it done. Good news is you got Logan going tomorrow, Castillo on Wednesday. But, you're not winning games where pitchers throwing 7 shutout innings. What's going to happen? I mean, Logan Gilbert could go 11 shutout innings. It might not be enough to get the W. Who knows? So, hopefully Julio's back in the lineup tomorrow. Hopefully JP's okay. And listen, JP's been scuffling this year, but the alternative is going to be worse because you're going to have to put Dylan Moore every day at shortstop, which that's not the worst thing, but then you've got to maneuver other positions. You're going to be seeing more Mitch Haniger because then you have an outfield spot open. Mitch Haniger probably shouldn't be on this roster. I don't get it. They've made the decision to move on from Ty France. I admire it. I wish Ty France the best. Guys, I'm not rooting against any of these guys. I think they're all good people. They're all human beings. I wish Ty France the best. I want Mitch Haniger to be awesome. I want Scott Service to be awesome. I want Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander to be awesome. It would be the best way to get the Mariners that World Series win that we want, or the playoffs that we want. But right now, nobody's really carrying their weight, right? Ownership, what we already know with ownership, the front office deserves blame. I said it last night when I was on with the Collins brothers, right? And Steven's making good points about good process, bad results. And he's right. And I'm with him on that. And I think some of the process this offseason was good. But eventually, I'm judging. I'm kind of done. They are all being judged on results now. And if they miss the playoffs, guys, I'm saying it right now, it's time. It's time if they don't get in. There's still season left, so this isn't me calling for the jobs necessarily. Baseball's weird. I know I said it every time, but who knows? For all we know, the Mariners starting tomorrow win 13 in a row or something. And then I'm not going to stand up and go, they should all be fired. And then boom, we're a 5-game lead in the division. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But I don't want that egg on the face. But if this team misses the playoffs, I did one of my first videos that blew up, and I'm sorry for this going on forever, guys, but I'm ranting a little bit. The first video I did that really blew up was after game 3 of the wild cards, or not the divisional series against Houston. And I talked about how fun the season was to see the Mariners back in the playoffs, to see the faithful at T-Mobile excited to have playoff baseball in Seattle, to see that it is a baseball city when it comes down to it. I'm in Phoenix. I talk about all the time. Phoenix is a basketball city. When the Suns are rolling, this is a basketball town out here. It's crazy. People don't get it sometimes because we got the 12s, and I'm a huge Seahawks fan. Seattle's a baseball town. When this Mariners team is rolling, it is a baseball city. The reason it's gone to football is football's been a lot better. The Seahawks have made the playoffs like 19 times in the time frame. The Mariners have made it twice in the last 24 years, along with 3 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. Yeah, going to be a football town when that happens. Anyways, what was I getting at there? Oh, with time to move on. Anyways, I did the video, and I said how great the season was. But I also said you have to take the next step forward now. This was great. So cool to see the Mariners back in the playoffs. But you've got to take the next step, meaning you've got to win that series. I'm not going to come on and say everybody should be fired if you don't win a World Series. It's hard to make huge runs in the playoffs. That's not what I'm trying to say. But they have not taken that next step. They missed the playoffs last year. I was forgiving of it. I said they got off to a sluggish start. Let's see what they do this offseason. Let's roll it back. If they miss it again, how can Jay 2 years ago sit there and say you've got to take the next step forward, and then 2 years of not having the next step forward and going, yeah, they should all come back? You can't. You can't do it. There's a lot of good that I think Jerry, Justin, and Scott have done for this organization. I don't hate these guys. I think they've done a great job building up this pitching staff. I think there's a good core here that can win. The farm system's in great shape. I don't necessarily even trust John Stanton to find the right people to replace him, but the results have got to be there. And if they can't get this team over the top, you've got to find someone that can. And you can't just say, well, it's going to be worse. That you can't go through life with that motto of, well, if I don't do this, if I make that decision, it could be worse, but it'll never be better. Now, again, this is not a rant of me calling for the jobs yet. I'm not. I know some of you are, and that's fine. Go for it. And if you want to defend them, I get it, right? Like, there's a lot of good I think they've done. I think there's a lot of gray with Jerry, Justin, and Scott. I do. I don't think it's a black and white. This team's not 29-80. They're in contention. They could win the division. And if you win the division, you're going to have a chance to win a World Series. But if they don't get in, I think I'm kind of in that boat. You can't keep doing it. You've got to find a way to get over the top. And, and that's more Justin and Jerry than it is Scott's. Scott's stuff's more, you got to figure out how to manage this bullpen. You've got to figure out how to close out these wins. I don't necessarily blame him with the lineup today. Not much he can do there, but you've got to figure out the right way to close out those games. You got 6 outs to get a win. You got to figure it out. And you might have to get cute. You might have to get creative. Maybe it's sending Bryce Miller back out there. What was Bryce at pitch wise? I know that might be a little nuts. He was at 94. I don't know. We're in the dog days now, right? I'm not saying Miller should throw 120 pitches, but maybe you let him go out there for the 8th. Maybe he throws 110, 111. Then Munoz in the 9th. I don't know. But what they didn't work. And I can't keep saying the process is good. I need results. This is not the first year of a rebuild. This is the year supposed to take the next step. And this was a winnable game to get you closer to that, and you didn't win it. So hopefully it bounce back tomorrow. Thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to talk about wins. Let's get a one tomorrow with Logan on the mound. Take care, everybody. And as always, go Mariners. Peace.